Day 8 includes not only the divorce attorney that Eric saw, but also the estate attorney. If you haven't been following this, Kouri is facing life in prison because according to estate, she took her husband's life by poisoning him with fentanyl. And she states that did not happen, yada, yada. So let's talk about the witnesses from today. We had 3 witnesses, all representing life insurance. So the first witness, she works for New York Life. Eric and his business partner had each taken $1 million out against the other one. So essentially, if one died, the other one would acquire $1 million and would be able to continue essentially running the business. Now, they stated that one day online, I don't have the specific dates, someone went online, tried to change the beneficiary of Eric's death from the business partner to Kouri Richins. However, minutes later, it was changed back. The thing is that it alerts who sold the life insurance to these 2 business partners. So that life insurance sales rep calls New York Life and is like, hey, I just got a notice saying that he's changing his beneficiary to Kouri, his wife. But when they signed this, they did it purposely because they're business partners. And it's common practice to make sure that if something happens to you, your business partner is taken care of so that he then can acquire your purchase, your side of the business. Everybody's going through emails, checking everything out, and pretty much the person that logged in, they assume that it's Eric, but we all now think it's Kouri. It had to be someone that could have his password, know his date of birth, know personal history. That was changed. Then you have the other life insurance company that came in and shared that they were waiting on the final death certificate because when they originally received it, it said pending. So she was calling to find out what's going on, why she hasn't received the insurance payment. They asked her about the fentanyl because they said that it was on the records, and she, asked, or she told them, I don't know who gave that to him. It's not a prescription because that's the first thing that they asked. Just making sure that he didn't take his own life because otherwise the insurance would most likely be null and void. The next witness is Christina Miller. She is the divorce attorney. She shared that the brother-in-law of Eric, which I've talked about this before, the husband of the sister who manages the trust, contacts her via text and says, can you please meet with my brother-in-law? So she's like, I don't mind, but he's going to have to go through the proper channels. He has to go, I guess, through her secretary, paralegal, whatever. They finally meet, and they met for about 2.5 hours, and she shares that he wanted to know what it would be like if he divorced Kouri in reference to his finances, making sure that they're protected, his business, as well as custody agreements, what that looked like, what arrangements would exist. She said that normally all of the custody arrangements are reviewed and you kind of go over a calendar, but instead he actually didn't complete the full list, ended up taking a to-do list. But that she did go over the fact that first and foremost, during that time, they were going away in the state of Utah from the one parent having them 5 days a week and the other one just on the weekends. It could be 60-40, it could be 50, because that's kind of the desire of the courts during that time, that children's psychologists have come forward saying these kids need to have access to both parents equally. At that point, she said, though, she referred them to an estate planning attorney. And after that, she made it clear that all the communication was between Katie, the one that managed the estates, and her husband, that she really didn't talk to him again. According to what she was told, it was because she would snoop around in Eric's emails, so he didn't want her to know that he had seen a divorce attorney, but all the documents and everything, they would submit it to that attorney. The next person is the estate planning attorney. Her name is Crystal Bowman. She shares that when he comes to her, she starts talking about what if you pass, what is the plan, and who you want to manage this estate. He submits the documents, and also, the majority of her communication is with the brother-in-law and the sister who was granted the control of the estate. She shares, though, it was the first time that she had ever had a husband that wanted to make sure that the estate was managed by someone other than his spouse. Also, he wanted her to revoke his or her power of attorney. When she asked why, he explained that it was because she practically stole from him. She had taken, I think it was over $250,000 out against the mortgage. Keep in mind that house belonged to him. It was not a marital property. He had it before they got married. She actually was a power of attorney, so she signed on his behalf without his knowledge. She did say that he shared, look, I understand she's the mother of my kids. I want to make sure she's taken care of. Unfortunately, she's not as business savvy. She is having a lot of issues kind of dealing with the business. So I want to make sure that my assets are protected. She also shared that after his death, she receives a call from a police officer. The police officer tells her, I need you to tell Kouri that this house is not hers, that she needs to understand within 48 hours, mind you, she needs to understand that his sister manages his estate. Sure enough, she got on the phone. She was like, that's correct. The house is not yours, because she didn't know that. Originally, if he died, she was getting that house. But because he changed everything, she said the house is not yours. It belongs to the estate. And the estate is managed by his sister, Katie. She was extremely upset. She was crying, all of that. Then the defense attorney was like, so it's okay for you all within 48 hours to call a widow pretty much and leave her homeless? And she goes, absolutely not. That's ridiculous. She's like, it was never an intent to keep her homeless, because at the end of the day, while his sister manages the estate or manages this trust, she still has to follow his rules. He had made it clear that she would get some provisions, but she did have a say if she could keep the house or not, if she could keep living there. Of course, Kouri was in shock, which was interesting because the defense, when they opened up the opening statements, they said that Kouri knew about this change in his estate and the trust. And we know now that was not the case. In the next video, we will go into the man she was having an affair with and his testimony. Talk to you soon.